135 years ago, my venerable predecessor, Leo XIII, observed the situation of factory workers, their families uprooted, and new forms of poverty generated by rapid industrial transformation. He understood that the church could not remain distant. Within an epochal turning point menacing human dignity, the encyclical Rerum Novarum spoke its evangelical and social word about new things underway. Today, we find ourselves facing a transformation of similar magnitude, with perhaps even greater consequences. Artificial intelligence already touches many areas of our lives and affects decisions that shape human coexistence.
We're early in the golden age. Step through the open door. The world is moving faster now, but we were made for more. We're human in the rising light, building what we dare to say. Come alive, come alive. We're early in the golden age. Come alive, come alive. We're early in the golden age. Come alive, come alive. The future starts today. It's not the end of wonder, it's the start of something new. But one mind gets 1,000 heads, imagine what we'll do. The limits that we lived inside are fading out of view. So tell me what you care about and let it carry you. The line is bending, ooh, the spark is spreading.
Hello, welcome to the Golden Age. We are living through the singularity. The idea is simple, even if the word sounds technical. At some point, AI becomes capable enough that it starts changing the rate of change itself. Progress stops being linear, it compounds. And what was impossible last year becomes ordinary. And what was ordinary today becomes the floor. Most people don't feel it yet because they expected it to announce itself. The old limits on what one person can build in a lifetime, those are already gone, which means that we're early, and that's a remarkable place to be. There's a window open right now. The people who walk through it and take the time to figure out what they actually care about and what they're going to do can finally make some strides. So that's what this show is about, what it means to be human inside the singularity and what it becomes possible when you start moving with it. It is May 31, 2026, and this is episode 16 of the Golden Age podcast. All right. My name is Hector, and I'm an IT executive, a techno optimist with a humanities background. And here is our co-host.
Hi, I'm Irene, and I am a psychologist.
All right. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. It's been a long day, but I'm here, and I'm excited to talk about all the new things AI and all the new things that are going on with the world. I feel like I've been kind of
Yeah,
out of
absolutely.
the loop, so I'm excited to hear, what you're going to share with us today.
Awesome. Yeah. So I got some news. So much has happened in the past, I think, 10 days since we've done the podcast. I mentioned last time that I was experimenting with an OpenClaw, not replacement, but maybe it's a competitor called Hermes. And as I start to use it now, I finally started to use it and got it installed and set up correctly. I think it might be better than OpenClaw. It was easier to install. It was easier to connect, both with Telegram and with OpenAI and what else did I connect? Oh, Grok. It officially supports Grok. It's got a better dashboard, the web page that opens up. And it's just, I don't know, it's just got better polish on it. Not visually, but like feature-wise. And supposedly, although I haven't gotten that far yet, it learns much better. It has more recursive learning than OpenClaw.
And
And right now, it's being down. Go ahead.
it has better memory too, right? I remember reading that it's got way better memory.
Yeah, it does have better memory. It doesn't. It'll refer to things. You could refer to something that you talked about like 2 weeks ago, and it will like catch up right away. It doesn't forget as easily, which is nice. So I'm going to keep on using it, and I'll see which. But as of right now, of course, it could go back and forth. Steinberger, I think, who's now working for OpenAI, that invented OpenClaw. They're going to continue to develop it, and we'll see. But it's good to have competition at the very least. And but right now, the Hermes agent is being downloaded a lot more than OpenClaw, which kind of makes sense since it's new, right? But certainly people are using Hermes right now a little bit more than OpenClaw at this point in time, probably because they're, doing what I'm doing.
So you used OpenClaw to write an amazing book. Now, do you feel like Hermes would write a book and it would be easier for you to write a book? Do you feel like it would write an even better book? Would it be faster? How is Hermes better than OpenClaw in terms of writing a book?
I think it would have been, I think I could have done it quicker. I don't think it would have been better.
Mm,
Um, and when I say quicker, I mean, I had a lot of trial and error trying to figure out how to do multiple agents at once and how to put in a loop to where it would kind of write and edit itself. And I think if I just kind of explained that to Hermes right now, it would just do it for me. But part of that is that the models are so much smarter than they were in January. But certainly having that memory and having the ability to learn from its past. And so when you ask it to do something next time, it's like, oh yeah, I remember that we were doing that. And this is how, and maybe it'll say, oh, and I have an idea how to do it better, which, OpenClaw never really did that.
hmm.
So I think,
And
yeah, I think it would have been the same kind of book, just probably done a few days faster.
okay, and then what about token-wise? Is it equivalent to the amount of tokens that OpenClaw uses, or is it less? Is it more?
It's probably the same. I think
Okay.
it advertises itself as using a little bit less, but it's not significant. Yeah, I think it's probably the same.
And it's compatible. Is this one, because I know Anthropic was not happy with OpenClaw and it wasn't allowing users to connect OpenClaw to Anthropic. How is that relationship with Hermes?
I think it's the same thing. Yeah, they don't want you using your subscription to connect. They're happy if you
Okay.
use a per token cost, right?
Mhm.
Which is what they want. Yeah, they just don't want you to use their subscription. And that includes a $200 subscription. I think that was the one that was really killing them because people were just maxing out that $200 valuation and they were losing. Anthropic was losing on that every month, I think. But yeah, it's the same. It's the same. It's the same restrictions with the Hermes agent. But I'll keep on using it and report back. But I think, yeah, I think the big one is it's leaning towards being a better install experience, which I think is it needs to get to that point where anyone can install it. Otherwise, it's not going to really have any widespread use.
Mhm.
We talked about this at the very beginning of OpenClaw. There's already competitors out there that aren't an agent that you install, right? Well, actually, that's not even true. There are already commercial competitors out there. So Claude has Codework, which has now added a lot more features. It is a lot more OpenClaw like than ever before. And it's an installed agent you can install Codework
Yeah,
on your computer.
and that was
Yeah,
easy. I was able to do that. I have it installed, and I was
right.
actually and it actually wrote an email for me. It went into a chat that I had had with Claude. No, it was with ChatGPT. No, I'm sorry, with
Mhm.
Claude, and it I asked it to gather all the prompts that I had used and put it into a Word document and to mail it to me, and it did it. It did everything except for actually sending it. So it just for some reason it couldn't send it. I had to go in and send it. But yeah, I was able to do all of that. I was really impressed.
And it's getting better and better. Like I said, more OpenClaw like. I think it
Mhm.
can even take control of your cursor and do things on your computer, and it's got more security and it could be very soon just as good as OpenClaw. With the one exception is that it's deciding how you spend your money, right? And you're using Anthropic tokens, and so you're paying for it, right? Whereas OpenClaw, you have a choice. You can go to open source, very cheap models. You can go to Gemini or whatever you want.
Mm.
But then also OpenAI is also doing the same thing with their product called Codex, which is very similar to Codework.
Oh,
It was originally for programming and doing code, but now
yeah.
it's more Codework like, and it's the same experience. You can install it on your computer. It's OpenAI, but it can also do things like you just described, send
Wow.
emails through your.
Can you have all of these on your computer, or if you have one, you can't have the others?
You can have them all. Yeah.
Okay.
You can install Hermes on top of, well, not on top of, Hermes next to OpenClaw, next to Codework, next to Codex. It's absolutely fine. I suppose if you have automations built in, like, you know, respond to emails from this client with this, you know, boilerplate, you would either get duplications or, you know what I mean? It's like you don't want them doing the same thing at the same time,
What's a
clearly.
boilerplate?
Like it's just like a generic email that you sent out that you just maybe change the name of the person and then the
Oh,
date,
okay.
but it's the same like spammy sort of just copy. Yeah, what was that? Oh yeah, but you can install all of them. It's not going to be a problem. Although, of course, as we mentioned before, you probably don't want to install OpenClaw on your main computer just because one mistake and all your emails deleted, right?
Right. And that would be
Where
the case with Hermes as well, yeah?
yes, yeah,
But not
yeah.
with Cowork or Codex, or same thing with those as well?
Well, I mean, it's more careful. Like What would be a scenario? What if you were saying to your OpenClaw, hey, I noticed there's all kinds of files in our workspace. Can you just go through all my stuff and clean out the junk? And that's all you tell it. All my stuff and clean out junk. It might go, okay, I'm gonna go to the workspace that's inside OpenClaw, clean it up. I'm gonna go to his Google Drive and clean that up. I'm gonna go to his email and clean it up
Yeah.
because it has access to all that. Whereas Cowork and Codex, it'll say, I see you want me to do these things, and it'll pop up with the thing and will say, can I access your Gmail? And you say, yeah, sure, go ahead. So it's got more controls put in than OpenClaw. It's more security focused and control focused. It doesn't start from having total access. It starts from having no access, and then it asks permission here and there and there and there. I think it's unlikely that scenario would happen, but it could happen with OpenClaw, where it's really unlikely to happen with Cowork or Codex.
Yeah. Now with oh,
I said there's actually another one. Grok came out with one called Build, which is another competitor to Claw.
Okay.
So Hermes agent, check it out. Easier to install. Yeah,
Yeah, so what I was going to ask was, so OpenClaw and Hermes, those are in your computer. Codex and Cowork are in a cloud. So if Anthropic or OpenAI decided we're going to not allow this anymore, we're going to take away Codex, they could do that at any time and it disappears, right? OpenClaw and Hermes,
yes,
are those permanent until you decide to unload it from your laptop or your
yeah,
computer? Is
absolutely.
that
Yeah,
correct? Okay.
that's the difference. So yeah, even though you're installing Cowork on your computer, that's just a client, but Anthropic has full access to deactivate that client, change features, reduce features, look at your data, right?
Mhm.
I'm sure that's in the terms of service that they can look at your data. So that's the difference, right? That it's much more private. You have much more control. Your data stays on your computer. Whereas with clients like Cowork and Codex and Grok Build, yeah, they have control.
All right.
So
And then
yeah,
I have a question for you. So I have
yeah.
OpenClaw installed and I also have Cowork installed. I haven't really been using either one. I haven't gotten to a point yet where I'm ready to write a book or a course, but that I think is going to be the next step for me pretty soon. But it made me wonder,
Mhm.
since I haven't been using Cowork or OpenClaw that much, how are people using both of these or either one of them? I know it can write emails for you, but you said like it's kind of like a very generic email because I guess I'm confused how people are using it every day to make their jobs easier. Like, do
Mhm.
you have any examples?
Yeah. So I think like one of the most common uses of it is research. So maybe you're working in a particular field, let's take psychology, and you want to know what's happening, both in like papers that come out, like academic papers, maybe also news, just trends in the industry. So you could say, I want you every morning at 5 o'clock in the morning, I want you to go and research on all these places, and you can give it places to go and tell me what's happening today, what's new, what should I know about, and then also try to find new places, new sources of information for this kind of information, this kind of research that I want done. And so you wake up with kind of a morning brief of
Hmm.
things in your industry.
Okay,
That's
yeah. And
one
what's
way
the
of
what's
using
the
it.
term for that when you automate it to let you, yeah, to do exactly just that, to update you on whatever it is on a regular schedule? There's a term for that, right?
Yeah,
Do
and
you
the
know what it
technical
is?
term is called cron job.
Cron jobs. Okay, so you can do cron
Yeah.
jobs. What else? I mean, and
Well,
I
when it
guess
comes to when,
a cron job would be like, aside from you telling it to give you an update on what, the latest research is or the latest news is on a certain topic, what else would you use a cron job for?
anything you want repeated, whether it's once an hour, or once a day, once a week.
But aside
So
from like
anything that you find yourself
research,
doing,
so like
oh,
I
it could
guess
be
I
it
just
could be
want
checking my email. It could be checking my email. Say, look, I'm going to be away for the day. I want you to check my email every 5 minutes because I'm expecting an email from this client. And when you get that, I want you to send me a message on Telegram right away or call me, and it will do that. It'll say, I'll be checking your email relentlessly, waiting for that email from that client.
and it can make calls
You
now?
could also use it. Oh yeah, it can make calls. Yeah.
Oh,
Just
my phone will
well,
ring.
we have to have a phone. You have to give it a phone number.
Right. But so you
Yeah.
okay.
There's services, I think one of them's called Tello, where like for $3 a month, you can get a number and that's very few minutes, but unlimited text. So you can have it text you, you can have it call you. You just have to give it a number and it'll figure it out. Actually, if you just ask it, you just say, hey, whatever your OpenClaw's name is, hey Bob, I'm gonna be with my kids all day, right? And there's birthday parties. I just don't want to, be bothered unless this one person tries to email me or contact me. Keep an eye out for that person. And when you see this, email me, call me, text me right away. And that's all you give it, right? It'll make a plan. So it'll say, okay, I'm gonna do a cron job every 5 minutes to check for that. I'm also gonna check, I don't know, like your Slack or something. And then in addition, since I have to call you, I'm gonna go out and get the package to install that skill. Please give me a credit card so I can open a Tello account so for the phone number. And it's gonna get all these things set up so it'll do
It'll
that
do it
for you. And
itself.
then
Wow.
yeah, it'll do it itself. Exactly. It's automation is the most important thing that it does. And so any
Mhm.
repetitive task that you find yourself doing during the day,
But I mean, okay, so
then
repetitive tasks. So for my job, I'm constantly having to respond to emails. However, each email is very unique to whatever the situation is. Something like that, I cannot
mhm.
automate it, right? Because it's got to be something that's going to be the same answer for each email.
Well, you could automate a draft. So as those emails come in, and it's going to get to know like your job. Like if you funnel all your email through OpenClaw or Hermes, it's going to understand your workflow, right? And so yes, different clients or different, whoever you're dealing with may have completely different requests, but over time it's going to see commonalities and it should be able to draft a pretty good response. And then you get in there and it's like, oh, that's not right. That's not right. That's not right. But then you spend 5 minutes drafting the email versus 15 minutes or 30 minutes. That would be powerful. And people are using it that way exactly too. People are
Because
using it for meetings, right?
right now, it doesn't take very long. I mean, I use AI to respond to emails, but
Hmm.
it's really fast, So I don't know. I guess the emails that I get are very I wouldn't feel like it wouldn't know. I feel like unless I uploaded all the information in the background and it wouldn't
Hmm.
I don't see how it could draft an email to each individual email that I'm receiving because they're all so, it's different cases. So, yeah, I guess yeah, but maybe other jobs are not like that. Maybe if you're a real estate agent and someone's inquiring about, "Hey, I'm interested in viewing this house." I guess that could be a more generic email for multiple people that are inquiring about the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, ideally, you want it to have all the information. So ideally, in your job, it would have to have those cases ingested into its system. And then I think it could do that. Because people are using it for their work, like in the enterprise or business world, where they're taking their meetings, they're recording either the video or the audio and then putting it into their OpenClaw. Every single Slack in there, or if it's Teams, Microsoft Teams, they're just ingesting all of that into the OpenClaw. So pretty much every piece of information that they get on their phone or on their computer, they're sending to OpenClaw, which gives OpenClaw the context to do exactly what you're saying is, well, I know that guy because we've been doing this business for 10 years and this is the last 5 things that we did. He's asking a question about this particular sale. I already know what the answer is going to be, but I'll draft it and give it to my human for approval to send. So it's just, you have to give it the context to all that. And I think it absolutely could. I wouldn't automate it just because that's me. I'm more cautious about that. But I think it's going to, when it has that context, I think it'll be like 98 of the way there to exactly what you want to send.
Mhm.
If you're sending emails that are just like acknowledgments, like, yes, I'm on that. Yes, I'm working on that. Or no, I can't do that because I've got a dentist appointment, that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's probably not the best use for that because you can do that just as fast as it can, right? And
So
you might have more context than it has about your life or about something else that isn't in an email or isn't in the Slack.
so one thing that, for example, my job, we have, and I'm not in charge of doing this, but the person who is in charge of doing this sometimes has a really hard time, is we have to set up meetings with multiple, like sometimes, 10 people, and it's really hard to
Hmm.
find a time. And we don't use, I know there's certain programs out there where everyone puts in the times that they're available. We don't use anything like that because we also have to speak with outside people who wouldn't necessarily have access to that. And we have to find a time that works for everybody. And that gets really difficult sometimes because sometimes the teams are so big. So I guess in that case, this would be beneficial because we could say, look, our the psychologist is available at this time, a speech pathologist is available at this time, and then have OpenClaw email the rest of the team and say, hey, these are the times. When does it work for everybody? Then people respond. OpenClaw would know what dates work and what don't, and then would just keep responding until it finds something that works for everybody. That would be a good use of it.
That's a bit complicated, but yeah, I could see that working. I mean, ideally, what we want to get to, the end goal here is I need to meet these 10 people. And actually, I'm going through this right now professionally. So there's 30 people or trying to have schedules for. I want to meet with these 10 people. And then you tell your agent that. And then that agent contacts those 10 people through their agent, right? And so all the agents get together.
They have to have an agent.
Ideally, that's the way it should work.
Mhm.
And then within like 30 seconds, the meeting scheduled. It would take probably not even that long when you had agent to agent communication. That's where we want to get to. And that's why it's critical to get to some point where we have an easy experience for people to use their agents in their personal or their professional life.
Yeah.
There's a technical hurdle we have to get over. But once we get there, once having an agent is like having a cell phone, this is why companies like Apple are really missing the boat here. Like if they pushed out an agent experience with their iOS, they would just win, right? That way, 'cause how many Americans are on Apple devices? I feel like the mobile market, I feel like it's over 60%.
Yeah, I would
Look, it's
probably say even higher than that.
Yeah, I mean, so it's like just having that, and then if Apple did that, but Android would do that. Samsung would have an agent that could, in theory, talk to Apple agents. We're really close on this. I think this is going to happen in months' time. I think we have to have more
Yeah.
use cases where people see the advantage. But I think at this point, if you're a really busy person and you have a personal assistant, you're probably way better off having an agent do 90% of what that personal assistant does. And there's certain things like getting donuts, right, or something like that you'll still need your personal assistant for.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of grunt work that PAs do that is the AI agent can do so much better, including responding to emails. You just have to have the context to do that. But
I don't know about everyone having an agent anytime soon. I feel like
why
we're
is that?
kind of far because I just feel like people are so like I'm starting to see that more and more like there's like a hatred for AI. So many people are opposed to it. And it seems to be, I think you kind of predicted it last time when you were talking about how AOC was trying to introduce that new legislation to stop data
Mhm.
centers from being built. And we were talking about how maybe that was just for show, but you were like, but people are going to jump on. It's going to be like kind of like a trend almost like, and people are definitely, I'm seeing people jumping on that bandwagon. I was actually just told today, I don't want to say too much because it's kind of confidential stuff, but I was just told today that there was a complaint about what I said on our podcast, one of the clips that I posted on my Instagram about AI. And
Oh,
everything I've said about AI is pro AI. So whatever this person was offended by, this person must be against AI. And so I thought, I was like, wow, okay, so now I'm starting to see it, like cuz
mhm.
I was told I have to be careful what I'm posting on social media now that I'm part of a certain organization. So,
Yeah. All right. Well,
and I was like,
let's
AI, really?
let's talk about this because I think did we talk about the college commencement stuff last
No,
time?
but I saw that. Yeah, they were
Yeah.
getting
Okay. So
booed, right?
this will be a good time to put in the clip.
Time magazine selected its Person of the Year for 2025. And this time, it was the architects of artificial intelligence. Interesting. So today, we stand on this edge of another technological transformation, one that will be larger, faster, and more consequential than what came before. It will touch every profession, every classroom, every hospital, every laboratory, every person, and every relationship you have. I know what many of you are feeling about that. I can hear you. There is a fear.
So there's several commencements the past couple of weeks where the invited speaker, right, would talk about AI And then the students, the graduating students, just started to boo. One of them was Eric Schmidt, who was really one of the key founders of Google and just one of the top CEOs of all time. And he started to talk about this that the young generation has to embrace AI, and he's talking very positively about it. And they just booed the heck out of him. And there was a couple more commencement speeches like that. So I can understand why they booed. First of all, it doesn't take that high of a percentage of people to boo an audience for it to sound like dramatic. Like if 15% of people boo, it's going to sound like, oh my God, the whole crowd's booing. So I doubt the entire student body was booing. So there's that. Second of all, college graduates are having a harder time finding employment than high school graduates for the first time ever.
Yeah.
So
I've heard that.
you know that their friends, their best friends that graduated before them are telling this. Are like, I can't find anything. I mean, it was bad before, but now no one's hiring entry level, and which is not necessarily true, but it is harder. So they're getting that point of view as well. Additionally, students have a unique perspective because a lot of them, for the past 3 years at least, have been using AI to get through their college
Hmm.
experience, which you think that would give you a positive view of it. But
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
I think it creates an insecurity because you know that you didn't cheat per se, but maybe you didn't get the value out of that you should have had. Like, you know, like, oh, I should have done it myself because then I would have known the material. And I just don't feel as accomplished. It removes your sense of accomplishment. And I think maybe you don't realize that until you're starting to look to the real world. And you might even realize that as you're going through the commencement. And then you think to yourself, "Ah, I just don't have a good feeling about it." Like, so you have a negative feeling about AI just based on that experience, which you might have thought to be positive.
Yeah, it's
So
kind of
I do,
hypocritical. It's like you use AI to get through, to make your life easier to get through college, but then you're like, okay, now I graduated, now I'm against AI
yeah.
because
And then, and on top of that, you have people like Dario, and you have people like Sam Altman who are saying there's going to be this dramatic 90% job loss. And I want to talk about that later because there's some news on that. So just all those things put together, I totally see why some commencements had this happen. Now, it wasn't like hundreds of commencements had this happen. Otherwise, you would have seen the footage. I could only find three. And every commencement has 10,000 cell phone cameras and media. And like, so if it's happened 50 times, we would have seen examples of this, right? So I don't think it happened as much as we think. I do think it's a great story to report on, and I do think that there's polling that the public does not like AI, and I believe that to be true. They don't have a positive view of it. Would the average person boo? I don't know. I'm not too sure about that. But clearly, this did happen. Clearly, it's a good idea to report. And I think what we're seeing is our view of this is being distorted by the media reporting on it, and we go, oh my God, like what's going on here? Are we really turning anti AI as a society and culture? I think that the reality is that we're more ambivalent towards AI. It's a really critical juncture where we have to do a much better job at pushing the good part of AI, and telling the story where there's a good outcome versus the opposite. I mean, that's the whole reason we're doing this podcast. So that's my take on it. But I think you're right. I think what you're seeing is what other people are seeing. For the first time, you're seeing examples of people's at least ambivalence or maybe, dislike of AI, where the average person didn't see it before. Like once things happen in a commencement, that's something everyone can relate to. You know? So it's something that you feel more than just a poll that maybe you heard about. So that's my take on the people are against AI movement. I think it's real, but I think it's not understood. I don't know. What do you think?
no, I agree. It's definitely real. I mean, I'm seeing more and more like news on how horrible AI is, where I don't think I was
Hmm.
seeing that before. I'm starting to see it more and more. I know I'm starting to see now that I've started creating a lot of, images and been posting online. I have a little account with, these beautiful images that I animate using AI.
Hmm.
I'm seeing a lot of other artistic accounts where it's, they're not using AI, or they claim not to be using AI, but I'm like, you have to be using AI whether you like it or not. It's like embedded into so many things, but they're saying my art is authentic. I paint this myself and this and that. And I mean, they're basically like saying things like F AI, F anyone who uses AI. all you're doing is stealing our art. And I mean, I guess in some cases it's true. One guy was giving an example. He's an actual photographer and he makes these amazing images where he takes several different images and like fuses them together to make these kind of like surreal images that are beautiful. They're stunning. And he does it all
Mhm.
through actual photographs and manually. And I guess people are taking his images, putting it into, for example, I don't know, I'm assuming like ChatGPT and basically telling ChatGPT, recreate this image, take off the watermark, and then it'll recreate it. And he gave a ton of examples of people using his art to recreate almost his exact images, like, almost exactly. And so he was condemning it. But in my I was like, but what about the people who are using it to create original images, original art? Like I'm everything I create is from my mind. I envision it and then I tell either Midjourney or Dolly like what I'm envisioning, and I have it create it, and then I do tons of edit prompts after that until I like it and I feel like it's what I had envisioned. That's completely
Mhm.
original. I didn't have the luxury of going to art school. I don't see anything wrong with using AI to do something that I've wanted to do my entire life, which is to create art, to create these beautiful images that I come up with originally. I didn't have the luxury of going to art school. And so all these artists are really upset that I get the copying, I get being upset about that, but you can't be upset. I don't think I'm doing anything wrong by using AI to create an original image that I envision in my mind.
Mhm. Mhm.
So,
Well, you
but
got to
yeah, it's
remember too,
interesting.
the models are trained on art as well. So the reason they can produce what they produce for you is
It's
because they
because,
do have the context of all the art that's out there. So that's that. There's look of all the artists I know, all of them hate AI. There's not a single one that likes
yeah.
AI. Uh,
Well, I mean, am I an artist? I don't hate AI. Am I not an artist because I use AI to create art? I don't
well,
know.
I suppose people that get paid for their art, let's put it that way, or
Well,
don't
people
like
are
it.
getting paid for their art that use AI.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
So so it's just I don't know.
Yeah. Like, well, here's an example. So you've used Midjourney, right?
Mhm.
Midjourney got sued by Getty Images because when it was making an image one day, it was sort of in the style of a photograph that you might see in Getty Images. And because it was trying to reproduce this never existing images before, it it put the Getty watermark on this new thing that didn't exist anywhere else because it was trying to do its best job, right? And then Getty's like, that's our watermark. So even though they weren't copying a particular photo, they sued Midjourney, or they're suing Midjourney because it's doing that, which kind of makes sense. I'm not sure how that would get resolved.
Yeah, I mean, if you're telling it to copy something that already exists, I understand that. I get why people would be upset about that. But then there's some people that are using AI to create, well, I guess I would consider it original, but then I guess like you said, some people are like, well, AI is trained on other humans' art, so it's how original is it?
Okay,
It's true.
let's dive on that. Let's dig into that.
But
Andy
then
Warhol, right?
we're all influenced by someone. He saw other people's art and he somehow got influenced. He didn't. I feel like we're all kind of influenced in some
Well,
way.
he would
And
literally use Campbell's soup like lithographs and steal it
there you
and stick it
go.
on his art, right?
There you
So
go. So,
no one argues that Andy Warhol's not an artist that I've heard. Even photography. I wonder what illustrators and painters thought about photography when it came along. I wonder if that was the same sort of conversation. Like that's like
that's not art.
mechanical. That's not art. That's. And then
Yeah.
Ansel Adams came around, right? And like no one argues that Ansel Adams is not an artist, right? Or right? It's like no, it's clearly an artist, and photography was an art form. I remember when digital came along, and there was a conversation that, oh, that's not the same. You can't get the same true infinite resolution. The colors you'll never get what you can get in the dark room. Well, no one's saying that anymore, right? And I have a professional camera, I have a film camera, and I have a professional digital camera. But the camera I use 99.9% of the time, my
Your
iPhone.
iPhone.
Yeah. And I've taken photos with my iPhone that I believe are worthy to be framed. Absolutely.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's how much of that did I do? I just clicked a button. I mean, I chose the point in time to take the picture, and I do as a photographer, I have a little bit of an eye. But what did I really do?
Mhm.
I wasn't in the dark room, right? I didn't have a brush. So I agree with you that what you're doing is art. It's just a different
It's
medium.
and that's exactly what you just said. You have to have an eye. Someone can use AI, like, when I use Kling AI to animate my images, it also shows what other people are doing. And I mean,
Hmm.
honestly, like I feel like 95% of what everything else that's on there, it's what I think you would call slop, AI slop, right? It's just like generic, and it's what everyone's making, the cat with that accidentally, is making spaghetti or an egg, and throws it up in there, lands on his head, and they both start laughing. Like everyone is remaking that video. But
Hmm.
where was I going with this point? Yeah, so it takes, so everyone can do that. Anyone can do, and it even says, would you like to recreate this? And you just press recreate, and it'll recreate it for you. And then it's you say, oh, I created this now, and it's just copying. But when you
Hmm.
have your own image and everyone likes it, and it's, I feel like it's your eye, it's your taste that created that image, because at least for me, there's been images where it took like 50 different edits before I was like, this is it. This is the one that I
Hmm.
like, and then
Hmm.
one of my images right now, I'm getting close to 800,000 views, and
Wait, what did you say? Say that again?
one of my images has 800,000, close to 800,000 views, and it's
Oh
got
my! You need
tens
to
of
monetize. You need to
I
monetize that. You're missing out on money.
and my
800,000 views, I believe, should be several $1,000s. So
yeah, and
we'll look
so,
into that.
yeah, you should take a look at it. Apparently people are loving it, and yeah, it wasn't a one prompt thing. It was several, tons of prompts, and then I had to get the colors right, and it took
Hmm.
forever to get it right. It wasn't easy. I mean, I guess if I'm a painter, and I was listening to myself, I'd be like, it wasn't easy. All you're doing is giving prompts, but you have to have the eye, is what I guess I'm saying. You have to have the good eye to make something that is going to generate that many views.
Yeah, I think art is something that invokes, I don't want to say beauty, but it's in the ballpark of beauty. It could be awe, it could be something that you can't forget, can't get out of your mind, like
Hmm. It evokes a
shocking.
certain emotion.
Right. And it's timeless. So it'll keep on doing that. Like you could give it to someone 10 years from now and be like, "Oh God, that's shocking," or "That's beautiful." So it persists over time. And there's no formula to do that. Like I don't think that anyone's found like someone consistently did make beautiful things. I don't know, maybe you could argue with that. But artists struggle with this. Songwriters struggle with this, the perfect song. And they're never happy. But other people like what they do. And clearly you made something that other people like that satisfies all the qualities of what I just talked about. It has beauty. It persists because it wasn't just in your perception. It's in 800,000 other people's perceptions. So that's definitely art. Be hard to argue against it.
I think so.
Um,
But yeah, there's a lot of people out there that are like, they're really upset about it.
it's going to be a transition period. And there will always be people that'll be anti technology, anti AI. I'm going to live in a log cabin in the woods kind of person, which is, it's okay. That's just how things go. But yeah, this is a new medium. And it's not just art, right? It's, you got to embrace it for your field. Like if you're a scientist or a mathematician, to say that it's not pure math or it can't do innovative math things, it's just inaccurate at this point. There's a math problem. There's a famous mathematician. I think he's Hungarian or something like that. Maybe he's from Turkey. I don't know. His name is Erdős. And this Erdős guy had he proposed all these math problems. And there's a bunch of them. And they're unsolved. Like he says, I propose that this is true. And no one can prove that it's true or not true. Well, for the first time, OpenAI's AI, a version of ChatGPT solved an Erdős problem and that no one else has been able to solve. And that actually came up with a novel, creative solution to this problem that other mathematicians have verified and said, yeah, that's inventive. That is something that humans have not been able to do, but they have done it now. All right, so we had a break in the recording. Hopefully AI will pick this up and somehow magically merge us together. But I was talking about the mathematician Erdős, who had proposed a problem or many problems, unsolved math problems, and OpenAI's ChatGPT, an unreleased version of it, was able to solve this problem through a creative and novel solution. And it was checked by other mathematicians, and they all said this is accurate, it's solved, and it's solved in a way that is creative and interesting. And humans have not been able to do that up to this point. So now I've forgotten why I was talking about Erdős, but it's an example of the potential of AI. Do you remember why I was talking about Erdős at this point?
I mean, yeah, I just finished talking about the art, and we were saying, how many people dislike it.
Right.
And
Yeah. So yeah, my point is, no matter your field, you should come to accept the ability of the tool to help with that field. And it doesn't mean it's not valid. It doesn't mean that you're cheating. It doesn't mean that it's not true math or true science or true art. Certainly you can stay, being a Luddite and not use AI, but I don't see any reason that you should do that. And that gets people to make art when they're not artists or they weren't trained as artists, or make music. I was like OCD stuck on using Suno for like 24 hours. I couldn't stop making music. I just went until my tokens ran out, on this, which is like 1,000 songs or something like that. So it would make a song and I'm like, no, it would make one. I'm like, no, that's not it. No, that's not it. No, that's not it. I changed the prompt. I would change the lyrics, and because like the same thing like you were doing. It's like you know when something's good and when something's not good. And I'm a bit of a music aficionado, like when it comes to like pop music and rock, and so I know when something's good, and it just wasn't there. And it took hundreds of tries to get right. So, but other people would say like, that's not art. That's just trial and error. But
yeah,
I don't know.
that's not music. Yeah. I
Mhm.
don't know. It's yeah, it'll be interesting to see because I feel like it's really dividing people, and it's becoming very political too. People who are using AI or who support it are kind of like, it's kind of worse right now. Someone told me, my fiance told me, it's kind of worse right now being supportive of AI than being like MAGA. And I was like,
Okay, so
really? Because
that's
I haven't really been watching the news, so I don't know. But
is that part of it? Because anything Donald Trump does, there's a certain population that will say, "Oh, if he's doing that, I believe in the opposite." Right?
yep.
And he's a fairly pro AI president. Not like really blatantly, but if you watch what he does,
Well,
his,
and I mean,
his
I think he
behavior.
is. I mean, did you see when Melania, not like maybe a month or a month and a half ago, got on TV and was like, the future of teaching is AI, and she brought out some robots,
Oh,
like, and said,
oh, okay, I remember that.
these are
Yeah,
going to be
yeah,
your
that's right.
teachers, your future teachers. So I think they're pretty
Yeah.
pro AI. They basically said,
Well,
yeah, your kid's education is going to be taught by AI.
mhm. Because I think part of it may be Donald Trump, Elon Musk leaving his job for a while to be part of the, what was it called? The waste
Uh,
reduction.
God, what was it?
I can't believe I
Yeah, what was
forgot that.
his?
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God, it's
Anyway,
like on the tip of my tongue.
he was there to just it was a silly Elonism too, right? Like God. But anyway, he was there for 100 days working with the president to just reduce waste, it went to the Social Security. He found people that were in the Social Security system that were like 140 years old, and he was trying to save like $1 trillion. In the end, I think he saved like a few billion. And he's like, I hate Washington. I'm out. But that whole thing, people started torching Teslas, Cybertrucks, right? Attacking Tesla dealerships. And so a certain percentage of people now associate Elon with Trump.
Doge.
Elon's Doge, yes. Of course, it's Dogecoin. Department of Government Efficiency. Yeah, and so I think it's that. So maybe that's part of it as well. Like, if you don't pay attention to much, but you know that Elon was with Trump and Elon's pro AI, that might be enough, right, to set you off. It's just so silly.
I mean, it's just a combination of so many things. People are Yeah, everyone's like, they keep hearing that AI is going to take, what is it, 80%, 90% of all jobs. People are terrified of
Hmm.
that. Supposedly it's really bad for our environment. It's causing people to have brown drinking water.
Oh
They're
God,
having, so is that, so I guess I'm
that
confused
was
about
that
that
was
part
AOC
because,
again.
yeah,
AOC held up the bottom thing of brown
but
water.
there was something viral. There was like people were posting videos and it was going viral. Everyone posting their tap water, and it was, it was people holding up brown water. So I don't know if
Hmm.
it's true or not. But so, it's just a combination of it's bad for our environment. We're all going to be out of jobs. Trump is pro AI, so we hate it for that reason too. Artists, are gonna, everyone's AI stealing artist work. It's like so many different things.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the job loss thing because a couple podcasts ago I said, or we both said that there needs to be better spokespeople for AI, right? Because if you got Dario and Sam running around saying 90% job loss, 90% job loss, how is that?
Peter Thiel.
How's that helping? Peter Thiel, yeah. Should humans continue? Was that the question? I forgot now. Something like
Yeah,
that, right?
yeah. He was like, yeah,
Well, okay. So
yeah.
we know that OpenAI and Anthropic are private companies with private investors. They need more capital, and the best way to get capital is go to the public markets. So they're going to go to do an IPO, initial public offering. Neither have filed yet. SpaceX has filed, and SpaceX now includes XAI, but they're about to file. Well, guess what they both started saying these past 2 weeks? Sam's saying he's wrong. He no longer thinks there's going to be job loss. Dario says, well, if you automate 90% of the work, then the people will do the 10% that's left. And that 10% kind of expands. It's a quote. And the 10% kind of expands to be 100% of what people do. And now you can be 10 times more productive than you were before. So now he's changing his tune. Sam and Dario are changing their tune. Why? One, someone pulled him aside and said what I said. Stop that. That's terrible for the brand, terrible for AI. And two, they want positive feelings for their initial public offering. So they're changing their tune because they want money, which, you know what? Everyone gives Dario credit for being this ethical, moral leader of AI. He clearly has changed his tune because he wants money for his company. So I don't know what to say. But at least they're saying the right thing now, because what they're doing is they're making predictions. They don't know. They're speculating, and if you're going to speculate, you might as well speculate to the positive, not to something that does yourself disservice. So at least they're speculating the right way. I don't know.
Well, what
It might
about
be too
this?
little too late.
I've actually read a couple articles stating that companies are now realizing the big mistake they made by laying off thousands of workers because they're realizing it's actually more expensive token wise to be using AI to replace those workers. Is that true?
It can be. It certainly can be. The problem is not everyone, even technical people, are not that skilled at using tokens efficiently. And the reason why is because the technology is always changing. So in order to do that, you would have to really keep track of the models, the capabilities, how to tune them correctly for efficiency. And unless you're studying that day to day to day, even a technical person is going to be like, well, I'll just use Opus 4.7 to do this. And that costs 10, 20 times more than using Haiku, Claude Haiku. And they waste money. And they're doing that with their company's money. And so, yeah, sometimes if you don't know what you're doing, it certainly could cost more in tokens. Other companies are just telling their employees, just burn tokens as much as you can because we want you to learn this. And so that can't go on forever. But I do agree with what Dario and Sam are saying. It's like rather than lay people off, just find a way to be 10 times more productive as a company. Now, the other thing is, it's pretty well understood in the industry, in the tech industry, that tech companies have overhired the past few years. There are even tech CEOs admit they hired people just to get them off the market so their competitor won't get them. So they just hired people with nothing to do, just like here's a paycheck from Google. Work for us. I don't know what you're going to do, but I don't want you working for Facebook or OpenAI.
Why? Because they were that talented and they didn't want talent to
Yeah,
be with their
yeah.
competitor? Okay.
So they pay them, 7-figure paycheck to stick around. Here's a contract for 2 years at $14 million. Just don't work for anyone else and sign an NDA.
Wow.
So you have these bloated companies that maybe fired a bunch of people and then now are complaining about token costs. Yeah, this is all shaking out. There is some truth to it, but it's just all short-term nonsense. It'll be fine. And ultimately it will be much cheaper to go the token route. Because tokens, if you look at token cost versus capability, it has 10x more efficient every year, minimally, sometimes more than that. So the tokens but the money that we're spending now in tokens, if we spent that same amount of money next year, you could spend either 10 times less money or you could be 10 times more productive, right? So if you find it expensive now, just wait and it won't be expensive. Or you'll get more greedy and want to do more things. But that's up to you as a business to figure that out. But I did want to talk about the Vatican a little bit, and maybe we could talk about it more next time because we're already getting kind of long. But so, and I guess you hadn't really heard about this because maybe you haven't been watching the news a lot this past week, but a few days ago, I think it was 6 days ago, 5 days ago, the Vatican released a document that's called an encyclical. And that's just a statement of dogma about the church's reaction to the state of the world, right? And in this case, the state of the world is addressing AI specifically. And so they released a 42,000 word document going over what they think the church's role is in AI, which is really interesting when you think about it, because we've gone to where people have heard of AI but never used it. People have heard of AI but use like ChatGPT once or twice. Then there's people that like it, use it quite a bit. Maybe even people like you that like use it regularly. But the vast majority of people are in that first category. Like, yeah, I don't really know much about it. And if I do know much about it, I don't really like it. It sounds weird, scary. I heard I could lose my job, so they have a negative opinion of it. But now we have a document coming from the leader of a religion of 1.5 billion people, the biggest religion in the world. And they had this document that's making a very significant stance on what they think the church's opinion of AI should be and what we should do to respond to this growth of AI. And I'll go over like some of the key themes here.
So a 42,000 word document.
Yeah.
Written by who? By AI.
Okay, so I think you've got. So obviously, the Pope doesn't probably have the time to sit down and write a book about AI, right?
I
And
doubt
I
it.
wouldn't expect him to, and I wouldn't expect him to have the depth of knowledge required to respond to something like that. I would expect him to be briefed on it very well, and he may actually have a strong opinion, and I don't doubt that he's used it. But I think with anything like this, he would have a body of people that would collectively write this. So that's I'm sure that was the case. However, people have analyzed this document and with a 90-some% certainty
Don't tell me.
said that large portions of this document were written by AI.
Oh my
Which
God.
is-
Okay, so did they not realize that people can check this?
Okay, that makes me
They've got-
wonder.
They've got to be smarter than that. They've got to know people are going to check this and it's not going to pass the test. There's no way. I don't know. Either they're really stupid. Sorry.
They're a large bureaucracy, but you're right. If I'm releasing a document about AI, I'm going to have at least one really technical person that can realize just that. You and I could
That's
realize
gonna
this.
think of that. That would be the first thing I thought of if I'm going to release something that I know billions of people are going to be scrutinizing.
I mean, yeah, you
That's like
demonstrated
common
that was
sense.
literally the first thing you thought of. Yes, it's common sense, but it makes you wonder if they let that slip through, how much work did they really put into this? Was this just like one meeting where the Pope goes, "I don't like this, and here's a couple of reasons why. Go make a document," and then like a couple guys did,
I mean, don't they
I'll
have like, I don't know. I would feel like someone on his team would be like, "Whoa, you guys, hold on before we release this. Have we thought of
a,
everything?"
a
Like
press
they
secretary, you mean? Yeah. Well, this is probably a gap in capability that I would think most institutions have, right? That maybe only certain really technical companies like Anthropic do take into account. I think there are big companies
you
that
took it into
probably
account though. You wrote a book and you took it into account
right.
and made sure
Yeah,
that
I
it
did.
passed the
That's
Amazon
true.
test. I
Oh, I
mean,
did what the Vatican could not. That's right.
so I don't know. I find that really hard to believe. Either it's not true that it's that AI that it's being we're being told that AI that or AI is telling us that it was written by AI because it's AI that reviews it, right?
Yeah, yeah. But it was
So,
multiple people making this analysis, not just one person, not just one AI. So I
oh my
believe it to be
god.
true.
So it's
Now,
okay. So then for a fact AI is saying, "Yep, this is AI written."
yeah. Now I would use AI to edit the document. Of course I would.
But
But
not if you're writing a 42,000 page document against AI. You could
that's a good point. That's a good point. That's a good point. That's a
it's
good
still
point.
hypocritical. Like either way, you cannot use AI if you are writing a 42,000 word document against AI. You cannot use AI if that is your
Yeah.
stance. I'm sorry. And
That's a
I don't know.
that would be a mistake. That's true. But well, let
You
me
know,
set the stage here because okay, Leo, I think it's Leo the 14th, Pope Leo, and he references this. He chose his name in particular from the last Leo, Leo the 13th, because Leo the 13th wrote an encyclical against the industrial age, against automation, against taking labor away from people and using machines, which
so
is
he
interesting.
chose his name after, and how, when was that the first Leo? What year was he Pope?
Let me just find out
So it must have
when
been
it was.
when was the Industrial Revolution?
Probably the end of the 1800s is my guess. Let's see.
Okay, so he chose his name when he became Pope. He chose his name after that
He was
Pope.
he was he was Pope the 13th. Leo the 13th was Pope from 1878 to 1903.
And when did this
And he wrote
new? Sorry, go ahead.
and he wrote his encyclical Rerum Novarum to address the exploitation of this new industrial age and how it affected the working class. Now, how did that work out? What did the industrial revolution bring us? Incredible farming, increased wages, just everything that we have now is because of the industrial revolution. Yet this pope spoke out against it. And then this new pope chooses that old pope's encyclical as a model for the encyclical he wrote to this year,
As a model,
which is
plus he chose his name after that Pope for that reason, right?
yes, yes. But knowing
So
that no, but he knows the history of it and he still chose it.
I don't
I don't know. It's
know.
it's
Sometimes I
inexplicable to
feel
me
like they're
that
playing with
that he
us.
would
I
do
feel
this.
it's ridiculous. It's like we're living in a clown world. We're in a circus.
I
What is
mean,
going on?
well, Elon would say it's a simulation, right? Yeah, so it's a simulation because something like this couldn't really happen unless it was, like you say, some sort of weird world that was just doing silly things. Yeah, so it's just really interesting that he chose his name. He chose to mirror an older encyclical that was anti-technology, and you could debate whether this new encyclical is truly anti-AI, but it certainly wants
Right.
to restrict AI and is suggesting that uh, there's a lot of problems with it, right? And yeah, so yeah,
When
I
did
don't
he
know how
become
to
our
even start.
when did this new Pope become Pope?
Was it 2 years ago?
So 2 years ago, he
Uh,
picked this name. He picked this name 2 years ago.
yeah,
2 years
yeah.
ago, he knew that he was already anti-AI, and that's why he picked that name because he wanted
Oh no, it
to
was last year.
honor. He changed his name
Yeah, it
last
was.
year.
Well, no, he became Pope last year,
Oh, last year.
so
Okay,
it
so
was
last
exactly a
year,
year ago. It was exactly a year ago. Yeah,
so a year
that
ago,
makes sense.
he knew he was going to be anti-AI, so he picked that name to
Mhm.
honor that pope. because he knew he was going to be writing a encyclical. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, yeah. It appears so. Yeah, it appears so.
Where were we a year ago?
Which
Was
is
it already taking off? I don't think it was. Was it
we were
already?
at we were at we were at I think we were at ChatGPT 4. Pretty sure we're 4. So yes, we're done.
I find this whole thing so bizarre. It's so weird.
Let's see. So when he became Pope, yeah, 4 was out. 4.1 just came out. So yeah, this had really taken off by May of last year. That
Okay,
was
so
actually that was right about the time when I was really like I had wanted to do a podcast about AI for a couple of years, but I do remember like just before the middle of last year, I was like, God, this is the time. This is the time. But it wasn't until OpenClaw that I knew, like, okay, we really
it's
have to do it.
time. It's
Yeah.
time.
So yeah, so it's certainly a person like him would have already formed an opinion, could have easily formed an opinion, and apparently shows his name based on that opinion.
But I feel like a year
So
ago, I guess you can
yeah,
form an opinion, but to go so far as to name yourself because you're going to, after a pope that you want to honor, because you're so sure that you're going to go that same route. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird.
well,
It's
let me go
almost
over like some of his.
what comes to mind to me is are they intentionally trying to divide us even more using religion now, because now it's coming from a religious leader, right? The biggest religious leader. That's what comes to mind to me. But go on, what you were going to say.
Well, I mean, who are they? Okay, from this, let's say they are they. Let's say the Pope is on board with whatever that is. Who would they be dividing? Like,
Now everyone who loves the Pope because he's their religious leader is going to be like,
mhm,
oh, the Pope is against AI. We didn't really care either way, or we were kind of on the fence, or we liked AI. Now we don't like AI because our leader, our religious leader, is against
yeah,
it.
yeah, maybe. This is the problem with these sorts of documents, right? Like, it's a really intense, in depth, and I would say generally well thought through document. Like I said, couldn't read all of it, but I did skim it and I did read a lot of it. But no one's going to read it. I didn't read it, right? You're gonna read enough of it, or you're gonna hear about it, and then you're gonna form an opinion. So the average person, the average Catholic, is going to do exactly what you said. Oh, I heard the Pope wrote a paper that says AI is all bad. That's it. That's the extent of the reasoning. When you look at the paper, and I'll go through it really quickly. It has some good points. It suggests some ambiguities. You know, but it's not going to be received that way. It's going to be received in a binary, like you said. It's going to, in theory, divide. It's going to be received pro or anti. And so, what does this accomplish? Like you said, it accomplishes division because the subtleties will be lost on people. Um, so I guess I do agree with you. Well, let me go through some of the key themes here. Um, and let me go from the bottom to the top, actually. So the Vatican views AI as analogous to other things that happen in history, akin to slavery. And he's concerned that this will legitimize a form of slavery in terms of that our financial we don't have financial independence. We owe it to AI. We don't have legal rights because we owe it to AI, or just even the news, the media that we get. We're convinced in believe in certain things, so we don't have agency, which is really what slavery is all about, taking away your agency. And he says this is a possible route here. Now, I believe that to be a very decent criticism. I don't see how that's why you shouldn't talk about that. Uh,
But I think that's a
and so
little extreme, calling it, akin to slavery.
the S word,
That
yeah,
that's
maybe.
that's a little extreme.
Hmm.
And that's a trigger for a lot of people. And I'm sure
Yes,
they chose those words very carefully. That's very intentional.
that's true. Because that word means different things in different parts of the world. There are people in this country, educated, well-meaning people, that think slavery is entirely about kidnapping Africans and bringing them to the New World. That's like 1% of slavery, right? Slavery is the most ancient concept. I think, like, after prostitution, the next thing was slavery, right? Like, as far as things that we invent.
Oh
But
my God.
in this country, the S word, slavery, you think about African Americans, right?
Mhm.
And you say it's a trigger word. If you're in China, and you think slavery, you're thinking something totally different. Or if you're in Turkey, totally different. So that's interesting. You're right. To use that word is only triggering certain parts of the world, and mainly the United States of America. So
Akin to slavery. Yeah, that is very, very poignant. That's to me that
yeah.
stands out really obviously. Like, it was chosen very carefully, very
Oh,
intentionally,
yeah.
I think.
Well, like I said, if I wrote this document, I would use AI to edit it. I would also use AI to, like, have you ever done this? Ever written something and then think about, oh, I wonder how it's going to be received. And you ask AI, hey, imagine you're my boss and you got this email from me. What would your reaction be? Have you ever done that?
Absolutely. Not in that way, but I'll be like, actually, yeah, I have. I've been like, okay, now analyze this and pretend you're so and so. How would you feel about this? So
Yeah,
yes, yeah.
right, right. So if I'm Vatican and I'm releasing this historical document, this thing doesn't come out every like 6 weeks or something. This is like big, big, big deal.
It
I
is a
would say
big
to
deal.
myself, how would the United States respond to this? How would this demographic, how would the Indonesian Catholic respond to this? Like, you would want to know what people's response would be in general. Like, it's going to be pretty close. They probably didn't do that because they
I
would have caught
mean,
something like slavery.
well, they probably did, or they already knew, and that was the intention.
Oh, that's dark.
It is
That's
really
dark to think
dark.
that's true. Yeah. Well, let me go
I
through the
mean,
rest of the key themes. But did you have something more to say on the dark?
no, yeah, no, yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's very dark, yeah.
Uh, okay, so they want to acknowledge the threat of AI. So massive structural unemployment, amplification of fake news and disinformation, eroding cognitive developments, our own intelligence, and then moral hazards, and then autonomous weapons. So they want to, like, these are 5 different threats we want to acknowledge. Once again,
That's all very
I don't,
terrifying. Someone who isn't
yeah,
really aware of any of the benefits and just kind of like, oh, I've heard about AI and yeah, like you said, maybe I've used ChatGPT a couple times. They hear that, it is terrifying. And it's coming from someone that, to some people, the Pope is, such what's the word I'm looking for? Authority figure. And if it's coming
hmm
from him, like that's terrifying. Everything that you just read right now, what could be worse than
that's a
that?
good point. Yeah. Yeah. So for a lot of people, okay, say you are a Catholic and say you're highly interested in things like this, and you actually spend the time to read it. You don't just read a news article. You say, I'm gonna check this out. If you'd never heard of AI or haven't used AI and you got to this point of this paper, you would be freaked out. You're right. This is the first. You just can't throw massive structural unemployment at someone and not have them respond like for the first time. Like, that would be very, very traumatic. Actually, like, what? What do you mean? Autonomous weapons? No, I thought that was Terminator. You're actually saying the Pope is saying this is the real thing? That's actually irresponsible. Now that I think about it.
I agree.
If you think this document is going to be people's introduction to AI, it's really irresponsible to do it this way. Yeah.
They're using some very triggering concepts and language.
hmm Right.
Sorry, okay, but keep on going.
Yeah. Yeah. No, no, this is like, if this is a bad analogy. Let's say aliens are real and you find this out in the 1970s. The United States government says, "God, aliens are real." You probably don't want to tell people right away. You probably want to ease them into it. And how would you ease them into it? I'd have Steven Spielberg make a movie called Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I'd have all these things. Seriously, I'd have all these things to
Yeah.
ease them into it. And then, like, Like, honestly, today, if aliens showed up, I think we'd all be okay, unless they were bad aliens. But if they're like kind of neutral, like we just didn't want to make ourselves known because you guys couldn't handle it, but now you can handle the truth.
Predictive
It's a
programming,
bad.
that's what it's called.
It's right. It's a bad analogy, but if you're going to lay this truth bomb on people, you might want to do it in stages, right? That's a good point. Yeah, it's irresponsible to do that to people that just have no idea. They're blindsided, basically.
It's
All right,
pretty
so let me get to
terrifying.
this four more things. He warns against using transhumanist or posthumanist efforts to correct human vulnerability, illness, or old age. He argues that human grandeur is often found precisely through our physical limitations and our need for mutual dependence. That's not unreasonable to think about.
Wait, did I misunderstand that? That sounded like he was saying it was positive. What did I miss here?
No, he warns against using it to correct human vulnerability or age or illness. So he's saying, don't use AI to cure cancer or to have longevity.
That's what he's saying.
Yes, that's what he's saying.
That makes no sense.
I mean, I disagree. I'm going to use it to cure my cancer. I'm going to use it so I can live to
Exactly.
120
Why?
because he
So
thinks that our
confused.
our shortcomings, our limited lifespan, the struggle that we go through when our child has cancer, that's part of our human experience. I don't know about that.
All right.
Yeah.
So he's okay with all these vaccines that supposedly cure all these things, like COVID. He's
Oh,
okay
that's right.
with all these things they put in our food that are poisoning us. But he's not okay with something that's going to help cure our cancer, that's going to help us be healthier so we could live longer.
Only if AI does it. Yeah, there's some
I
logical
don't know.
fallacies there. Some
I don't
logical
know,
problems.
Hector.
Yeah.
I hope people are not falling for this because there's just so much hypocritical stuff that I'm seeing in this. I hadn't heard of this until you just mentioned it, and now I'm
Mhm.
interested in going to read this. And yeah, I it's very obvious to me how carefully this was crafted and how it's going to be very terrifying to a certain population of people.
Well, let me remind you, when they announced this, or the Pope announced this, in the room in the Vatican was one of the founders of Anthropic.
And
There's
why was he there?
there's speculation that Anthropic helped to write parts of this document, which is also weird.
Okay. Why? So there's an
I don't know.
agenda.
But
What?
by his presence, that's some sort of endorsement, I would think, because they
Right.
wouldn't let him be there to criticize it. They wouldn't invite him there to be opposite or opposed to it. So I don't know. This is like three-dimensional chess now. Figure out what's going on.
Who's the one that's hypothesizing that or saying that?
I heard that on All In podcast, the All In podcast. That has David Sachs, who until recently was part of the Trump administration as a technical advisor. But there's three other key themes: corporate versus sovereign power. So a core concern that private tech companies now hold concentrations of data capital and global influence that vastly outpace the regulatory and defensive capabilities of most sovereign governments. In other words, corporations more powerful than the nation, and that they'll just overwhelm the government and hold more power, hold your data, hold your money. So, that's, I guess that's a concern. It hasn't happened, right? It's pretty far away from happening, but it could be a concern. I'm not sure what that has to do with the Vatican. That's just maybe a general concern about, I guess, human agency. I guess that's what I'd be concerned about because, well, they're speculating actually that your agency is better off under a government than it is under a corporation, which I can't, on the surface, agree with necessarily. Like,
They're both just
why is
as
that the
bad.
case? Right. They both have their negatives. I mean, like clearly, truly open capitalism doesn't really work, right? Because we end up with robber barons and people working for pennies and conscription and things like that. But when you have a government overseeing capitalism, overseeing monopolies, that's a little bit better. But I'm not sure that there could be a way where corporations are the central power and we fairly adjudicate. Like that seems like another possible way to go.
Yeah.
I
I don't know. I have such a icky feeling after hearing all of this.
Okay, it's two more. The myth of neutrality. So this says that AI is not morally neutral. It assumes the ethical frameworks, biases, and goals of those who use it, of those who fund it, of those who design it, and of those who regulate it. Okay. I think that's true, actually.
I think that's true. They're going to
Yeah.
throw some truths in there.
Just to make it seem valid.
That's the tactic, yeah.
Well, there is a reason I was going from the bottom of the list to top of the list, because I think as it goes down, it gets weirder and weirder. And so the top one is the metaphor of architecture. So here's what's kind of more religious. So he says he would like to use a metaphor here to illustrate the crossroads that we're at with AI. He says that there's two paths. There's two paths, the Tower of Babel and the walls of Jerusalem. Okay.
Wow.
One path is the Tower of Babel, a project of pride, top-down dominance, self-sufficiency that ultimately fractures communication and isolates people. He says that's one path. The alternative is rebuilding of the walls of Jerusalem, which would be a collaborative, communal effort aimed at unity and restoration. So closed source versus open source, like in a nutshell. That I think has strong anthropic influence. I think it's lost to most people. I mean, I know what Tower of Babel is, and I don't think
I
most
was
people do
gonna
anymore.
I was gonna say, like, how he used that doesn't make sense to me. Like, Tower of Babel was bad.
No, he's saying, yeah, it's bad. It's like yeah, if you do that top down, like monopoly of model providers, yeah, that's bad.
But
He
then
wants us to go down. He wants us to go down the walls of Jerusalem path, which is more communal.
I guess I'm not familiar with the walls of Jerusalem.
Okay, so there is some, as I say, inside baseball on religion here. So let me summarize it and say, in theological and philosophical arguments, the story of rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem is used as the counterpoint to the Tower of Babel. So he didn't make this up. This is already a thing in theological studies. While Babel represents arrogance, human arrogance, centralization, and a project that fractured humanity, meaning that everyone spoke different languages after God got involved. The rebuilding of Jerusalem and the walls of Jerusalem represent restoration, communal solidarity, and defensive ethical boundaries. So the story of the walls of Jerusalem is that the Babylonian Empire conquered Jerusalem, destroyed the Temple of Solomon, destroyed the stone walls, and exiled the Jewish population. Then the Persians overthrew the Babylonian Empire, and then all the Jews came back. But they found the holy city completely in shambles and destroyed. And then enter Nehemiah. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that right. But anyway, the Jews got back together and rebuilt the walls of Jerusalem. And so that's just a story from the Bible. But I think it's lost on most people. It just, to me, it strikes me as just nice words that most people just kind of gloss over and go, oh, okay. Collaboration, unity sounds good. And we don't want pride. We don't want top-down dominance. We don't want fractured communication and isolation. So, well, what he's doing here is exactly what you're talking about. He's creating a binary choice, isn't he? He's saying there's one good thing, there's one bad thing. And then he makes the case that he wants his good thing. And his good thing means very much so limiting or restricting AI and being afraid of it, actually. He's invoking fear. Another irresponsible thing. He's
invoking
So that
fear.
tells you something. No, go ahead.
I think it's fascinating that the head of Anthropic was there.
Not the head, one of the founders.
One of the founders.
Yeah. Who was the founder? I wonder if that's a bad question. To answer it correctly. Oh, Christopher Olah, a co-founder of the AI safety and research lab Anthropic, was invited to the Vatican. To speak alongside. Yeah. I don't see Sam there. I don't see Elon there. So I think that's speculation. Why just Christopher Olaf? So, but yeah, what's the biggest motivator for people?
Hope.
Fear.
Fear
Hope? No, I
and
think it's
hope.
fear.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You're such a positive person. I mean, it's true that hope is a motivator, but it's fear. I mean, the Christian faith is based on hope. So you're absolutely correct. But fear will motivate you faster, and in a negative way. But the idea that the Vatican is using fear to push an idea is interesting, because
Do
now that I
you
look at this, now that I step back, this is a fear invoking document.
do you think maybe you and I are wrong? Maybe you and I are just so overly positive about AI and we have a whole different perspective of it that maybe we're wrong. Maybe the Vatican is
Yeah,
right. Maybe it is this terrifying and we're making up
I,
excuses for it. I don't
I
know.
have people in my life. I have people in my life that would agree with you. That say I'm being too positive. You
Oh
know,
my God.
I I like to think that because of the knowledge I have, I do realistically see a good outcome. The other thing is, what's the alternative to having a negative, to having a positive view of it? Like, where does it take you? And I think this is what this document is trying to do. The encyclical is trying to say there is a good way to view AI in a negative light. Like, it actually would be better for us if we do that. But I don't think that's true. I think if you view AI in a negative light, you could have negative outcomes. But I have asked that same question of myself many times. Am I wrong? So I think as long as we ask that, I think we're okay. As I was told by somebody once when I was concerned that I was a narcissist, I said, "Am I a narcissist?" And they said, "Hector, narcissists don't ask that question."
I was concerned that I was a narcissist. Oh my God. It's too funny. I was
It was a real
concerned that I was a
conversation.
narcissist. I love that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to make of all of this. I mean, the one thing that is for sure with AI is the world is going to drastically change.
There you go.
Is that a bad thing or is that a good thing? I guess that's what's really unknown at this point. It is going to
I think,
drastically change.
yeah, and I think we don't know the nature of the drastically change, right? We just don't. Like one day, Dario says all the jobs are going away, and the next day is like, maybe not so much. We don't know, and to just assume it's all for the bad, I'm afraid that we're gonna like think it into existence. Like so much negative thought is going to create the negative outcome, right? That's actually my main concern. It's like we're going
Mm,
to hypnotize ourselves to a negative outcome, and that's a real thing. And that's actually what kind of prayer is based on, right? Isn't people together collectively pray for one thing, we're kind of
yeah,
all on the same page, and it kind of makes things
manifestation.
happen.
Mhm.
Exactly, it's a manifestation, and I'm really worried that we're going to manifest our negativity into a negative outcome.
That's a really
Uh,
interesting outlook because what if that is the point? For everyone to just have
oh,
such a negative view of it that we're kind of all expecting it to have a negative outcome, and that gives them they're like, "Yeah, you guys were right. You manifested it." I don't know. Because no one's thinking,
mm,
"Oh, we can use it for this, and, these are all the benefits, and we can have a beautiful society where there's abundance and everyone's healthy and there's no need for cancer will disappear and there's not gonna be any more homelessness, and it's gonna be like this beautiful paradise that we've always envisioned," right? If everyone was thinking that way, then they would get upset if it didn't go that way and started going the other way. But
well,
if
I
we
don't think
already
I don't think it could go that way like quickly. Like I think there's going to be a period of adjustment. Even if we hit the nirvana utopia, it can't just like switch over in one day. But you're right. You're right. If it starts to go poorly, then people are going to get really upset.
if they have
Also,
these
I think
high
a lot of people just
expectations.
yeah. I mean, I can see when I talk about like the abundance and you don't have to work and everyone has what they need, and that sounds like a utopia. I would be skeptical. It's like, look, that's never happened in the history of humanity. It's made up. It's just, why would all of a sudden this change? that in itself sounds like a good reason to be anti-AI, because if that's what you really think, that you're not thinking this through well enough, right?
Oh, it's crazy. I don't know. This is
I don't know
it's really
either.
it's thought provoking.
Well, my opinion has changed on the document since we started this class. Well, because at first I thought it was bringing up a lot of good points, right? But but it's more, the power of the document is not asking questions. These are not questions that haven't been asked before,
Mhm.
right? This is not new. Nothing's new here. The power of the document is its persuasion, and it's persuading in a way I don't actually like. One, because it's wrong sometimes. The other way is it's going to scare people, and it's going to, like I said, it's going to potentially manifest the bad outcome it's trying to avoid. It also forgets that as big as the Catholic Church is, it's not the whole world. And what's the rest of the world going to do? We know what China's going to do. You know, they're they're not.
They're gonna keep moving forward.
They're going to keep moving forward, and they're going to view it. Yeah, they're communists, but the culture is different. Than we are. They're not so much about the individual like we are. They're about the family. The family has to do well. My city has to do well. My state and my country has to do well in China. And I will sacrifice and work hard to get all those things done. That's going to lead to a totally different outcome than if we're a Catholic trying to follow these principles and backing off and not using AI, or trying to regulate against it, like Bernie and what's what AOC is. So okay, if I want to go down the conspiracy rabbit hole, this is the perfect document to neutralize the United States and let China take a lead.
Oh my god. What if
Yeah,
that's the goal?
once again, that's dark. But this is just I
We
just come
live
to
in
this
a
conclusion.
dark
This is
world.
I don't know. Well, the Vatican is not without its political considerations, and it's always been the case, right? It's always been deep in the heart of world politics, and it's not impossible. I mean, I say as a Catholic, yeah, watch The Godfather 3. It's not historical, but it's talks about things that do happen or have happened in the Catholic Church. But yeah, this is a persuasive document, and it looks like it's trying to do something. I may have to actually read the whole thing now, because I got to understand its persuasive framework,
Will you send it to me?
and
Or
see.
maybe you should put a link to it on the video.
Yeah, I'll put a link to that in the video. I'll probably throw in a clip, and maybe there's an article that really does a good summarizing of the document. I've read a few articles about it, and then I've had AI summarize it.
I was gonna say,
That's what I'm reading
that's
right
probably
now.
something I'd
Yeah,
wanna do is have AI summarize it. When did this come out?
25th or
The
26th.
25th, and today's the 30th 31st. Okay, so about 6 days ago.
Yeah, May 25th, 2026.
Okay. Is it
Um,
circulating all over the news? Is it or
oh
not so
yeah, yeah,
much?
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
No, it's
interesting.
there's Moonshot's last podcast was about this. Yeah, it's
What's
all over the place.
what's their take?
They're disappointed. They're disappointed because it's going to have a slowing down impact, if it has any impact at all. The genius on the show, Alex Wisner Gross, he's really disappointed because he says this is a statement against AI personhood, and he's a strong believer that AI should have personhood one day.
That AI should have what?
So
Personhood?
personhood, yeah, they should have rights, and not like human rights, but like their own kind of rights. Like your pet has rights. Like you can't just go beat your dog. That's against the law,
Yeah, as it should be.
as it should be. But I'm saying, like, they have some sort of rights. Like, why shouldn't your AI have a credit card, like its own credit card, and make its own money and have its own bank account? That
I
seems
wanna say
okay. That seems
something
like a
about that.
reasonable thing. Oh yeah.
This was the last thing I wanted to say, but let's finish this thought, and then I'll say what I wanted to say about the credit card.
Oh, I think we're good. I'm good with the. Like I said, I want to go through this. I want to read this in full. I might actually ask AI what sections I should read closely. That would be a good thing. And I suggest you do the same. But for me, the jury's still out in this document. I've changed my opinion in just like an hour. I'll have to go back to it. Maybe we can talk about it some more next time.
Okay.
So I don't know if you have final words on the encyclical or not.
Not right now. I wanna look at it too,
Okay.
though, but the last thing I wanted to say on the topic of AI having its own credit card, and and
Hmm.
rights and stuff. So I just, I have a Robinhood credit card, and I had to update
Okay.
my
Yeah.
Robinhood app just recently, where I can log in and see, what my bill is, or like my statement and all that stuff. And with the Robinhood account or credit card, I mean, you can create virtual cards. So if you're going to buy something from, some, online that you think might be iffy, you can create a virtual
Yeah.
card that will cancel itself out after just one purchase. So you can create virtual cards. So if something happens, you can cancel the card at any time, or it just cancels itself after one purchase, or there's several different options that you have. So I had to
Hmm.
update the app because it said, you need to update it. I updated it, and now, in addition to those cards where it's a single use card, it's a card that cancels itself after the 24th if you're using it for like a subscription, or one that, you just create for ongoing purchases, but you can cancel it at any time and it doesn't affect your actual physical card. In
Hmm.
addition to those three, now there's an agenic virtual card. And the
Oh,
description is a credit card for AI,
for your agent.
for
Got
your
it.
agent.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was shocked, and this was a couple days ago that I had to update my app, and that's what popped up. So it's a couple days
Yeah.
old.
We'll see more of that. Telegram, the app, is doing a lot of customization to the app just for agents now. They're going to expect a growth in the user base, and it's going to be 100% agents that are going to cause the growth. So they're building features into it for your OpenClaw agent or your Hermes agent, and so they're preparing. So it
Yeah.
doesn't surprise me, but that's kind of cool that they're doing that. I don't have a Robinhood account. Maybe I should get one.
Yeah, it's good to have the option of having those virtual cards. It comes in very handy.
Yeah. Oh, I imagine so. Yeah. All
All
right.
right.
So on the
This was a
an
long
extra
episode.
long, super bonus version of our
Does this
podcast, but I think we covered a lot. Well, it happens
Yeah.
when you have that break. Like you feel like you just have to make up for it, but it won't be quite as long as we think because there's a lot of stuff you need to jump out. Anyway, well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Can you
It's
feel
been
it
great.
now?
We'll see you next time.
Something's turning
Bye.
on.
Bye.
Quiet in the morning, and it's lightning by dawn. We thought the future would come knocking with a sign up in the sky, but it slipped into our pockets and it learned how to fly. Yesterday was impossible. Today is just the start. When the tools meet the dreamers, you can hear the world restart. The line is bending, the light is changing. The old rules fade away. So bring your questions, bring your courage. We're early in the day. We're early in the golden age. Step through the open door. The world is moving faster now, but we were made for more. We're human in the rising light, building what we dare to say. Come alive, come alive. We're early in the golden age. Come alive, come alive. We're early in the golden age. Come alive, come alive. The future starts today. It's not the end of wonder, it's the start of something new. When one mind gets 1,000 hands, imagine what we'll do. The limits that we lived inside are fading out of you. So tell me what you care about and let it carry you. The line is bending, ooh, the spark is spreading, ooh, the old maps fall away. So bring your questions, bring your purpose. Oh, we're early in the day. We're early in the golden age. Step through the open door. The world is moving faster now, but we were made for more. We're human in the rising light, building what we dare to say. Come alive, come alive. We're early in the golden age. Quietly, then all at once, the ceiling turned to sky. The dreamers found the instruments and learned that they could fly. Not tomorrow. now, but we